Alrighty, so in this particular stream, what I want to do is address, pretty much address the beginnings of the campaign, the main story campaign. Before I could kind of get into it, I had to write it out. Write out all the details, all the level preparations, all the level ideas, and put together some sort of a roadmap. Right? So right now I have level 1 through to level 6, where I can sort of see a clear sense of direction. There's teaching going on, there's new things being discovered. After level 7, when we go into underground, there's kind of a moot point. There isn't really... I'm not getting a whole lot of ideas, except for the fact that I know that this is supposed to be an underground level. Level 7, 8, and 9, besides them being underground, doesn't really tell me much. And there are two major spooks, that kind of mystery spooks, that's supposed to take place. It's level 6 and level 10, or level 9 and level 6. In level 6, we have pretty much more or less established what the player can do in terms of abilities and skills. The shop has been enabled. They can purchase things. Most of the enemies have been presented. And then we get the spook, where it's the error message that pops up on the vessel interface that says return home, right? And then there's another one when we leave the underground that says return to mother. After that, it's kind of a moot point. So what I want to do now is go through these levels one by one and see what I can come up with. In terms of assets, we haven't really made all that much, surprisingly enough. So what we can do is we can look at these levels and what they look like, and we can fill in the blanks for what needs to be basically put together to make this stuff work. So some of the things that I know for sure this thing needs is our backgrounds and some sort of intermediate foliage. We have some foliage, but there's not a whole lot that needs to be done. So a good idea to look at this stuff, when you look at this stuff, is to actually write down as a list to create content to create. So we need more foliage, and this should not be a heading. This should just be normal text. So we need foliage and we need debris. Both are required for that first initial introductory level. So if we go back here, so this is a great testing level, but I can't really use a whole lot in here to create the levels with. But when I was thinking about this, I came up with an idea. I was thinking, how am I going to fill in all these blanks, all these in-betweens, right? All these parts. And then it came to me, we have the tile system that we can use specifically for that. Perfectly suited for placing large amounts of graphical data that can serve nothing more than to fill in the blanks, right? Fill in the empty spaces. So let's take a look at the first thing for this level. So from the description, it's not quite yet time to dive all the way into the engine. Even though we've made our preparations, we've made our prototypes, the levels which need to be designed can actually be designed over here, right inside of Krita. So 1920 by 1080, right? And we can go into our background paint. There we go. We can put on some tunes. What are we going to listen to? Yeah, we can listen to some Silent Hill music. It's kind of fitting. More or less. Not the battle, the horror music, but more of a down-to-earth stuff. We can listen to Jasper Kid Ultimatum. Let's listen to the Hitman Contract soundtrack. That one's always a good pick. Right. Oh yeah. So, this is level layout for level 1. Assets. Not assets, this would be concept art. Level design, level 1. So what I want to do in this level, we can start in the middle. And we can kind of square off into the directions we want to go. Perfect, let's zoom out. So what's the point here? The point for this is that this is going to be a tall space with some grassy parts everywhere. And there's going to be debris everywhere. So what I want to do here, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have 2 players each. Right? This is where the players are gonna wake up, so to speak. This is where they start. There's debris on top of them, which they can move out of the way. Now I don't want to go squares here. We're gonna make this guy here. We're gonna put some boulders. And I want to make sure that this boulder can be pushed in this way. Okay, so now we have a sense of direction. We can kind of pull this thing over here. Now, when we take a look at the first level, peaceful quiet night escape, a scene all around, cold blue colors, WASD tutorial, flashlight tutorial, physics tutorial. So this is where the whole purpose of this entire thing, in order to teach the player about gravity and physics. Alright, so we'll go back here. Let's actually just go ahead and be smart about it and use text fields. This can work out. This is where all the players get spawned. So, the entire purpose of this whole level is to teach the players about the physics and just to get them kind of in touch with the controls. Right? We can make some fun traversal. That's pretty much all this whole level is going to be about. Traversing an interesting environment. And this is what's kind of nice about this particular system of using objects instead of tiles. It's the fact that you can make these sort of level designs. Right? Okay. So we'll resize the canvas. We can pretty much double up on the size upwards. Okay. So we'll go ahead and taper that off that way. This is going to be an open area. This is where we need to teach about gravity. Right, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set this thing over here. Now we need to put something down here that would destroy the vessels. Battle Zaius. Yes, test indeed. Once again, this is me testing out the chat notifications. Make sure that they're popping up properly. Man, I have to say, I cannot get these glasses cleaned up. They're dirty as all hell. Did you get the service to work? Oh yeah. What's the last thing I was doing when you dropped off? Because I got the servers. Well, I got the drop-in system to work, so you can drop into the game now without having to wait. Okay, where are we? So this will go down here. Beautiful. So this will be locked. I forget. Well, so do I. So, yay. I got some enemy stuff going on, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so the players are gonna have to go up here in order to fight the current and get down here safely. Right? Right. I think you had no art when I last watched. I had art. I started with art, more or less. But I got enemies, so at least that's nice. So these are the actual enemy files that I'm going to be using in the game. We have the particles, which attach themselves to the vessels if you get too close and you don't shoot them down. We got the particle mines. These float around. If they burst, to shoot particles everywhere. We have this guy, which is an infected vessel. And we have this guy here, which is basically an eyeball. There's no iris, because the iris is going to have to be programmed. But it also opens up if you get too close. And it basically explodes at this point. So this is interesting. Other than that, yeah. These are the couple of assets that the player tools. First rendition, second rendition. This is the projector. So remote light or portable light you can deploy anywhere. I made tiles. Krita actually has a tiling tool that allows you to create seamless tiles, which I found to be amazing. Yeah, like here we go. Here's the tile, where you can enable the tiling tool, and that allows you to see how it transitions into various places. So that to me is like a huge selling point. Like, I was amazed. Not only that, it has mirroring tools, which that is pretty cool as well, but this I discovered, it was the first time around. I was trying to copy this block and put it down here, and try to copy this block and put it down here, and then, you know, the standard, the old way, right? But no, this guy has a tiling tool set, so you can create seamless tiles, right? And they actually look fairly decent, you know, more or less on them by themselves. So yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I've actually written up the level descriptions. Krita is awesome. So I've written up the level descriptions, what needs to happen on these levels. And this is effectively what has to be made. Especially for a free program, yeah. I'm waiting until Sarge gets on the stream, if he gets on the stream, because he's been looking for a program like this. He was actually asking me what the, if there's an application he can use to make tile textures, and like, there you go. In any case. Get back here. So what I'm doing now is I'm going over here. I'm going over this area. And I just need to... Right, I just need to design the levels, do level layouts before proceeding any further into the engine. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Okay, so this level will teach about gravity. Right. Righto. So this is actually kind of interesting. What I can do here... Okay, so I'm already getting like new ideas. So let's do 1920 by 1080. Beautiful. Okay, before I forget, I want to do this zigzag sort of thing, where there's a level here, and it's basically kind of like a cave or cavern. The players come out from that end, and there's death over here. And what they have to do is they have to traverse this area. There's gravity going down here. And what they have to do is they have to kind of traverse this sort of a zigzaggy pattern. What have you been up to? Battle? Oh, Jam 48 Game Jam. I hear a lot of good games have been made, so that's kind of cool. Ah, I see. Well, what's your game? Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll upvote it. Who knows? Okay. So let's go image, resize canvas, 200 by 200. It's called No Color. I only had 8 hours to make it. GM48. Mad Dog. That was my first game. Oh, first game jam. That's pretty cool. There's a project that I want to finish off of my first game jam. No Color. Coolio. Alright, I'll check it out. Okay, so I am drawing the level layout for this thing. So basically there's like an intense gravitational thing going on here. Intense gravity zone. So you have to go zigzag. You can't just go like up here and go here. Or you can't just fly straight up here. You have to go and zigzag around. You have to get some altitude here before you can go here. Also, spaceship for scale. Or a vessel for scale, I should say. Kind of important. Putting a for scale thing. So these scales are way too big. I made the title because it has nothing to do with the theme of the jam. Ah, I see. Alright, well. Stay creative. Alright. So since this first area is all about teaching you about gravity and physics and whatnot, then this area should technically be filled with all kinds of physics games. One would say. Okay. So leave some rocks on the edges. Some around here, just so people can play around with them. All right. leave some stuff over here, like pillars that need to be tipped over. Not sure how I'm gonna balance this stuff. It's gonna be fascinating. We can add a thing here. Alright, got some boulders up here just to get the players to do something. Battle it out, so to speak. As far as I know, you can disable physics up until the first contact. I think. Okay, so this would be the first instance, or the first first example. Level 2. Level 2 is the one that teaches about the various gravities. So we should limit this sort of stuff to level 2. I'm thinking, and leave all of this stuff to level 1. Actually, yeah, how about we'll do this? We'll take this, cut it out. This will go in here. We'll somehow make it work. In here, however, we'll say there is nothing in there besides a dead end, and you have to go down here carefully. We can even leave a pillar in here, which they have to kind of knock down. And this will be dangerous because they're right next to the bottom. Alright, we can do something like this. There we go. And that's the exit. So this would be level 1. This would be level 2. We can start it off with a nice introduction of what gravity fields do. And we'll move it over here. That's the starting point. So over here will be moved this way. It's a rising thing. Beautiful. It could be a long pit down. Okay. These are like gravity pockets. So this is level design. Level 2. The next level is level 3. This is introduction to the particle enemies. This level is the first instance where enemies are observed. First time when a swarm of particle flies off to the side, flies off from one side to another. This event is triggered by players approaching a top of a climb. Okay, so that's what we can do. We can start this level with a climb. No, not from clipboard, come on. So this level is an enemy introduction. However, the players don't yet have any weapons. So we'll start off here. We'll have them fly around. Players for scale. Okay. What's gonna happen here is that there will be this sort of a T-junction. And what we're gonna have here is a swarm of particles. Particle enemies. This is the swarm. So once the players get to right around there, the swarm will fly from the left to right. Okay. So that's the first encounter. However, players will have this tiny area that they have to crawl through. We could put a maze. I think maze is one of the easiest ways to make a level last longer. It'll be especially fun with other players. Maybe. But what I wanted to do is once they come out of the maze, or once they continue going through the maze, like right around here, there's going to be an open area like this, which is going to have a few broken vessels lying on the ground. And what's going to happen is that a swarm of these particle enemies is going to fly in and infect them. After which they will come online and they will fly off. I should get more of these vessel designs, eh? So I'll put it on the list of things to add. Debris, foliage, larger, Larger heavy armor vessels. As far as I know, designing a maze is kind of tricky business. A cool trick to it, though, at least in the design stage, is doing something like this. And I've already used this for creating wires. So we'll take a stroke effect and put it on the layer, and then we'll draw with the white color. It basically creates that stroke effect that looks like a brush outline, or an actual contour. Just like that. So from this point on, I can do stuff like this. Combine this. I don't think the maze would work too well, in my opinion. I feel like it would be just annoying rather than fun. Could be. We could try it out, see what it turns out to be. I mean, especially if you play with friends. This will be kind of interesting. See what it's like. Now, the main thing we have right now is we have a clear passage from this area. To that area. So what we need to do is we need to erase this piece, and suddenly we have something else. Not a complicated maze. Okay, so when we get out of here, disable this, merge that, and I'll just erase this piece here. Now what I'm wondering is, which enemies am I introducing the players to in this area besides the particles? I think it's just that one. think it's just the one particle, but at the same time, this is the first encounter, so there's still kind of a sense of mystery floating about. So now you're kind of cautious, like, what? What just happened? That's my perception of it. Huh. Swarm. Is this level's only purpose to tell the players about these enemies? I think so. Yeah. We'll make it into an exploratory piece. Things like lighting, however, that's going to be a trick. That's going to be kind of nasty. Maybe Bobland have an image of an abandoned city like in the concept art. I could. I haven't decided what's the background here is gonna be. What's level 3 supposed to be like? Level 3 is supposed to be a continuation of the valley, which really tells me what kind of background I'm going to use. Introduction to the particle enemies. That's the one that we were on right now. This level where players must defeat the particles without using weapons. In a safe manner. So destroyed pods are pieces of content that have to be created, which will make up some of these level areas. So there will be destroyed pods all over this place. Or all over a place like this. This here is just a testing area. And for the sake of some level building, let's see, so we have this area here. I want to put in, let's see. So we have our thing here. I want to put in that piece that I did earlier, right around here somewhere. The piece with the broken robot, the one that's stuck on the ground. Okay. This is level 3. We can go back to these things afterwards, after we establish the kind of baseline that we're going for. And we can establish further detail. Recording this pre-rendered cinematic is going to be interesting. I want to try something out for it. Did you finish the eye animation? Yep, all finished. Just had to export it is all. So it's the idle, opening up, and opening up for this guy. Yeah, could get some interesting stuff done. Okay. I know, right? But that's like handcrafted animation, like takes such a long time to get it done. Half the animations, especially for the enemies, like these guys, are going to be programmed. They're basically just wiggles and wobbles and whatnot, just to get them to come alive. Okay. I wonder why Cuphead took 5 years to make. Could be that, could be also the fact that, well, could very well be that, just based on the fact that it could have been just their only manpower was just themselves. It was not until way later on, when they put their project into light and got some funding, is when they ended up getting funding to, you know, to hire the music, to hire some help. A lot of the indie game developers kind of bank on that. They bank on, oh, I'm gonna work on this project for a year and a bit, and then somebody's gonna notice that project, and it's gonna get viral, and it's gonna get popular, and I'm gonna be able to raise money to finish this project. And a lot of people bank on that. That's not the right way to go about it. Okay. Level 4. This is a level where player must defeat the particles without using weapons. So, only using the environments. So what I'm thinking over what can happen over there is we can maybe use something like luring. You being faster than the particles for that time. Well, you should be faster than the particles, so you could evade them. Alright. So the base idea here is that there's something like an engine or turbine. Actually, we can do something like this. Make it a rocket turbine. Right, and it's kind of stuck in the ground. Right. As a matter of fact, the scaling of this is kind of meh. So if this is the turbine size, then I'd say the player has to be about this big. I don't want to make the turbine too big. Maybe even this big. But the whole idea is that the player, or one of the players, can lure the enemies, the particles, this way. So when they trigger these pieces, they could even make contact with their bodies. You know, no pressing buttons, no nothing, just making contact with their metal casings. And then this thing will fire. And the whole point here is that after they defeat these particles using this luring mechanism, they will be able to move to the next area, which is going to have a shop in it. So they can buy ammunition. And after that, the game will change to something a bit different. This is level 4. What? Yonder Simulator got really lucky by having it go viral and got like 100k money. That one guy making it still decided to not have anyone else as a dev till the company who signed on to help him said he had to have someone help him. Wait, what? Oh, okay. The owner is super toxic to his community. That sucks, man. That sucks. Really? Can't have anything? Oh, there we go. Apparently the Undertale community is really toxic as well, from what I've heard. With that whole debacle about Markiplier doing his own little interpretation of the voices for the sake of having fun. And he got a lot of lashback from community for daring to do it. Oh boy. I'm thinking, what would it be like to make this, to make a level designer here and allow people to make their own interconnected levels. Not just one single level, but I mean like interconnected levels. Being able to place physics objects and save the levels so other people can play them. I think it would be kind of interesting. Okay, so what I want to do here is there's going to be a dead end in here, and there's going to be effectively the only way to get out here is to do this. And lure them out here. There's going to be a big old mess of these guys in here. Happy Wheels map creator for the players. Or are you thinking of something else? Something like that, yeah. Super Meat Boy has a world editor as well, called Super Meat World. People can make levels and share them with everybody. Something of that same sort. Wouldn't be too difficult, actually. Compared to that, the networking stuff is a lot more difficult to do. Okay, I feel like this level needs to lead up to this whole area. Let's see. What's the next level after this? The valley. The first level where the shop machine is introduced. This doesn't really come off of as a valley type of thing, but you know, oh well. I wonder if Nintendo knows what internet is. I don't think they do. I think Nintendo still thinks we work in dial-up. See, even all of these things they sell, they say that this is a valley level. Nothing in here screams valley. It's all underground. Maybe the valley should be actually the last level. Huge update to that Nintendo shop. Yeah, that'd be nice. Contact. Okay. I've had 16 subscribers in the last 30 days join my channel, but I got notifications for none of them. For my my emails. Usually I get email notifications. So weird. Okay. Oh yeah, there's so much decorative stuff that I need to do. You just did? Let's see. Twitch, Mad Dog Productions. Hey, I did. Did the pop-up message appear on the screen? The new follower took place? Because the thing is that I use the 2 machines in order to stream. Can't do it on one. Okay, so as long as it popped up, you got your whatchamacallit, shout out with a notification. Thanks, man. Okay, so how about we'll make a day of it. We'll make so there's gonna be a swarm over here. There's also gonna be a swarm over here. And one by one we'll need to get them out of here. These are bowel obstructions, so to speak. So there's 3 swarms that the player needs to deal with. The players. When you fight off a swarm, will you have to kill each particle, or will it die by portions when you hit it with whatever weapon you make? It will probably have to be you hitting the swarm. There's gonna have to be two types of swarms, I think. Code-wise, not like visually wise. It might be a little bit tricky to track a position of an entire swarm. Say one swarm consists of what, like 100 of these things. Can you imagine trying to send each client 100 positions each second, right? It'll probably be a lot easier to make like a particle system, and there's going to be a collision body right in the middle. The particle system, one single position, we'll move that around, right? It'll spawn these swarms in it, and you have to battle the entire swarm as a single entity. So we'll battle that. So the entire swarm will die on its own. But besides that, we can spawn maybe 5, 7 individual particles as their own entities, just to make it look more dynamic. That's kind of what I'm thinking for a solution. Alright. I've about a month ago decided to get back into watching Naruto. I've stopped around grade 12 in high school because I caught up to the Shippuden, and it would be me waiting 1 to 2 weeks for an episode to come out so that I could watch that episode and then, you know, rinse and repeat, wait another week. And that would kind of suck. I mean, it was great, you know, it's the original experience, but it would at the same time kind of suck. So I decided to stop and wait until the show kind of, you know, gets a couple of 100 episodes done. And, well, lo and behold, it freaking ended. Naruto finished. So I'm like, oh, man. About 400 something episodes. How big is Shippuden right now? Naruto Shippuden. 97% like this TV show. Man, this is such a great TV show. Too many fillers, though. That's the only thing. Finished in March 2017. How many episodes? .500 episodes. So I'm currently at episode 250. And I've just about caught up to the point where I've left off when I was in high school. So, like any episode now, I will start hitting fresh content. And even rewatching it has been such a great ride. It's just so many things that I understand now that I couldn't understand back then. So many really cool philosophies. Okay. So, turbine. We'll make this into 9. Well, not like that. Come on. Alright. What show Sora zoned out? Naruto. Naruto Shippuden. It's a fantastic show. Swarm, swarm. If it wasn't clear enough, that is also a swarm. Have you seen the Star Wars The Clone Wars? I've heard good things about it, but I haven't watched The Clone Wars, no. Oh, it's on Netflix. Cool. Oh, that's another reason to get Netflix again. I'll assemble a set of shows that I want to rewatch. And once, you know, once that list reaches a critical mass, I'll go ahead and get it. Okay, can you imagine flying through this thing with the current physics, trying to not get eaten by the swarms? New season coming out sometime this year. It's a huge deal since Disney canceled the show a few years ago. I see. Oh well. Start turbine. Swarm, swarm, swarm. What's the next level? The level starts... That's level... This is level 5. No, that's level 4. Level 5 is the next one. This is the first level where a shop machine is introduced. Shop machine will be present in every level at the start from this point. So here's an interesting thing. Should resources, the black matter, which is the only resource in the game, should that resource be shared among everybody? Among all the players you're playing with? Which, you know, usually means if you're playing with your friends. Or should each individual one have an individual counter, but then you fight for resources? I assume they will post Disney and Pixar and Marvel Star Wars movies on there as well, so it's a great deal in either way. I mean, I've watched all the Star Wars movies. When the new Star Wars movies come out, I do watch them, but Star Wars in itself doesn't really tickle me fancy all that much. And it's funny because I like science fiction, but I don't know. Star Wars is absolutely enjoyable to watch, and I even like the new movies. Absolutely no problem with the new movies. A little popish, a little like mainstream, but it's Star Wars, right? Some people are elitist about it and they're like, oh man, this is not the same. While others going, yo man, you changed too much. Maybe take the resources as a group effort. Well, that's the thing, right? Depends on who you're playing with. If you're playing with your friends, and your friends aren't dicks, then everybody would be in agreement that resources should be shared. Right? So in that sense, if the resource is shared, then you are encouraged to play together. Which means I should put a chat system for people to be able to communicate with one another. Whoops. So we will need a chat. Total show up in the corner of the screen, and you have to collect it. And you have to collect it based on what everyone gets. What? Maybe make like a total show up in the corner of the screen. Total for all the black matter, yeah? And you have to collect it based on what everybody gets. Like of how much resources they need. Well, there isn't a need for resources. There is a shop which gives you the costs of manufacturing various things, like ammunition, upgrades, and deployables, and repairs. But other than that, there isn't really like... The only total that everybody would share is the total amount of black matter that everyone's collected. Although it could be an interesting thing because you're technically playing as vessels, which vessels of a greater whole that is a single mothership, which is the whole thing about returning to Mother. So we can go ahead and assume that even though you're playing with your friends, it's like you're playing as a whole, as one mind. There should be a counter, and you have to use the money wisely. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's not like your money. It's the group's money, right? See, that's when it gets tricky. And make sure no one gets it for themselves, right? So this is actually the point where you have to consider what sort of a multiplayer game is it? Is it publicly accessible, or is it just you playing with your friends? If it's you playing with your friends, then it's up to you and your friends to kind of sort out who needs what and who could use what upgrades. If you're playing on a public server, then absolutely you can't really share with anybody, because, you know, people are not gonna hand over their portions for it. Cost limit per person for time, a certain level or something. And see, now we're getting into limiting, and if we're getting into limiting, then we might as well just give each player their own counter. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But if everyone gets their own counter, then you would be fighting for resources. So there would be a competitive aspect to it. It's just like in Borderlands 1. You see a weapons crate and all the players, no matter how close they are, they all dart to that weapons crate and pick up anything and everything they can. Different game modes like co-op, offensive, or whatever. Yeah. Like different game modes. Right. Well, once again, it's like, where does the game take place? Right? Does the game take place in... Okay, let's get real here. The server would be tracking, as the server is right now, the server would be tracking which room every player is in. So if the server goes to the next room, that means everybody else is ready to go to the next room. So there's not going to be any sort of like public gameplay, so to speak. Right? No public servers. That would be something different. Although a public server would be kind of cool. Foliage, debris, large heavy armor vessels. Chat. If I put in friendly fire, then that would become a deterrent for dealing with players who are dicks and hoarding all the resources for them. Without a public server, then, if a person has no one else online, they have no real use for the game. Yeah. But, you know, if they have no real friend, then what do you expect, right? This is a game that has co-op written all over it, and you're getting a co-op game. It's not like you can't play the game alone. You just create the server and you play it by yourself. That is all. And there aren't any co-op mechanics that depend on you having more than one player in a level. So You can still play the game by yourself. It's just that I want to give the option of having other players in the game. Even maybe with something as simple as just seeing your friend by your side. Like them playing their own game, you playing your own game, but you see each other, so you experience the game together. I do have a game on the shelf that's kind of like that. All it does is just sense the player position, and you experience the game together. But in itself, it's a single player experience. Also, it's a horror game, so, you know, the campaign is still there. The story, or the, you know, the whole horror experience is still there. Okay. So, what I'm imagining here is that there is some sort of like a crate in here. This crate is effectively a shop. Alright, so just like that, gradually introduce mechanics to the player. See the amount of overhead that actually gets added to a game whenever you say that you want to make an online game is colossal. And to be honest, sometimes it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Local co-op would just do it better and you'd save on time. But people complain. Like, people complain that some games have only local co-op, and that's their only reason for not getting the game. The experience could be great by itself, but just because it doesn't have online networking, suddenly they just go on the downvoting barrage. Start shop. So this is actually the first point where the players are actually going to have a weapon, because they will get to purchase ammunition. As a matter of fact, what I can do is implement a system of nodes. You have to find nodes in order to unlock other purchasables, right? So let's go ahead and add that, actually. Nodes, unlock new stuff in their shop. Otherwise, you know, if you're gonna go in and just save all the money, then should everything be available right away? So this is level design, level 5. You see, one thing to kind of keep in mind is that after this, so after the previous level this one, there's actually no physics-based mechanics anymore. in the entire game. So that's kind of something that you need to balance out. All these features, but you need to balance it out so that every level offers the feature enough times to facilitate that feature to be designed and implemented in the first place. Right? That's what I am thinking. So we have up until level 5, then we have level 6. And level 6 is going to be more or less ambient. Okay, so I think what I need to do is, now that I have this kind of groundwork done, I can start filling these out and variate them in a more enriched manner. But for that, I need to get some rest, and I think I'll call it a day for this. I've gotten a lot of stuff done today. So, I've got animations, I've got... well, some of the assets. Enemies, player items. I've gotten all these things done, so I can go for a well-deserved break, and I will continue this in the next live stream. Alright? Beautiful.